Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. With the beginning of a new month means it is time for another scrapbook kit build as part of the design team over at the Counterfeit Kit Challenge. If you don't know, each month one of our team members chooses a real-world existing scrapbooking kit for us to pull inspiration to shop our own stash and build our own kits. This time around, we are using another Tracy Reed Designs kit, which is digital, but that is a great reason to use that as inspiration to shop our own physical stash and build our own physical kits. Now, I am a Tracy Reed fan, and I do hybrid scrapbooking as well as a little bit of digital scrapbooking, and I happen to own this particular kit that we're being inspired by, which is the Goldenrod Digital and Printable Scrapbooking Collection by Tracy Reed. So here is a bit of an overview. Let's go ahead and dive into all of the elements that I've chosen to open up. So here is the digital kit, which I own, and I own a couple of the printable pieces as well. From this digital kit, we can take some inspiration like ribbons, some ribbon type flowers, some fabric-y type leaves, various florals, pumpkins, like chipboard circles. So there's lots of things to take in when you are looking at some inspiration. Ooh, back here, you do have to look a little carefully at these digital inspirations because some of the imagery is small. But I see a little black doily back here, and I didn't even notice this the first time I peeked at this kit, but there's some pom-pom trim. So there's lots of fun things that you can translate from a digital inspiration source to your physical supplies. Let's go ahead and take a look at the papers because that's always where I start my kit building. There's lots of usable patterns here from various plaids, polka dots, and florals that I could go seasonal with or I could go outside of the season with. Now there are a couple of definitely seasonally inspired pieces like these candy corns and the pumpkins, but a good star print can go any direction, so you can take inspiration in whatever ways you would like. Now we start with some of the printable elements from the Tracy Reed collection. These do work digitally, of course, because they are all digital files. However, I tend to use some of these elements in particular as printables. Now, I don't often use these journaling cards, which are intended for pocket scrapbookers, but of course can be used on 12 by 12 layouts. But this time around, I am feeling a little inspired by some of these, like fall is the season, fall is in the air. I'm liking a couple of those. Here are some more. I definitely like the black with the pops of color. Oh, this one in particular was very inspirational to me. I like the pieces that encourage plenty of journaling, and this one definitely does that. There was one more. Oh, all treats and no tricks. So this one feels fun to me in particular because we get about 10 trick-or-treaters at our house, and this year I'm putting together little goodie bags instead of having a bowl of candy, which I will mostly eat after Halloween. To avoid that situation, I'm making little treat bags so that I can just give out treat bags to the few trick-or-treaters that we do get. So this card was feeling particularly inspirational. I have not had a lot of mojo with scrapbooking in the last couple of months, and I put together 2 main kits for the last couple of months, and I haven't touched them. So I am hoping that some of this inspiration will move me forward with my typical scrapbooking. Moving on, we have this Tracy Reed Traveler's Notebook signature collection, which are prints that are only in the Traveler's Notebook size. With all that being said, I'm not likely to use those, so let's move on. These are what she calls the stickers, which are very much intended to be printed, and these designs are nowhere else in the collection. They are only in this format. You do have the individual files that you can use digitally, but she has them set up specifically on printable sheets that you can send through your printer, and then you can either fussy cut them out or you can send them to digital cutting machines like the Silhouette or the Cricut, and that's what I usually do. However, because I have not touched last month's scrapbooking kit, which is full of all of my seasonal fall scrapbook embellishments, I am not likely to print out the stickers this time around just because I do have plenty of items sitting around already. So when I go to pull supplies from my stash, I will likely pull a couple of pattern papers that had some mood from this image, And then I am likely to print some of these, if not all of these journaling cards, because I can use the journaling spots. And there were a couple of these specifically themed images that did draw my attention. So with that, I will go down to my scrap space and get to work pulling some items and show you what I pulled afterwards. All right, here we go. I am going to start with the thing that I said I would start with, which is not always the case, but I did go ahead and print out the Tracy Reed printables from this collection. Now, notice technology has an issue. The screen is showing a very gray print, and my printer is printing kind of a purple print. So I'm going to have to kind of go with what I've got printed here a little bit when I'm selecting the colors of the pattern papers that I go with, so that things aren't really awkward. I pulled out my papers and I'm going to show you side by side from left to right the inspiration that we had here. Now the first inspiration was a bold floral print. I didn't have anything like that, so I chose this bold polka dot print, and it has a lot of similar colors to it. And when I looked at it side by side with the printables, it's working quite well. It has the addition of greens in there, which you'll see comes up again in the next paper. So I really like this print and how it kind of mimicked that first print without being an exact match. So the next was that bold stripe. I didn't have anything like that, but I did have this pink fresh bold chevron, and I really thought the mood of it was the same, even though the shape and the colors aren't necessarily the same. So that was a good choice. I skipped this ticket one and the candy corn one because I didn't have anything like that in my stash, which brings us to a simple black and white plaid. I had several of those, so that worked out well. The next one is kind of a pinky tone-on-tone print, and I liked this next plaid. It's hard to see there on screen, but it is a plaid with some gray in it, and I like that. Even though it's a bit of a darker pink, this pink is a little bit of a better match. That's a Pink Fresh Studio print, and it's got the grid like in the embellishment printables that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and keep both of those pieces of paper in there, and that works. So the next bold stripe I skipped, and then that brings us to this orange and white floral. I pulled two. I pulled one. I found this orange and white and pink floral after I had already pulled this yellow print that has some floral motif to it, and I like them both because of the color variation, so I'm going to keep them both in there. Now this pumpkin print I skipped, well, didn't skip, I replaced with this kind of wreath print, and while this was kind of intended as part of a Christmas collection, I think it would make a great front porch decoration kind of thing for a pumpkin photo, so that's what I'm going with. And then next up is that yellow plaid, which I replaced with this geometric print, and I think that mimics it pretty well. I skipped the next print, and then I moved on to this teal grid print, and I was surprised at how well of a match that was to the original, so that was kind of fun. Next up is a polka dot. Theirs was more colorful. Mine is more monotone, so that's okay. And then we have this floral print in a deeper teal. I didn't have anything quite like that, but again, my printables came out with a different color palette slightly than that. So I went ahead and chose these two papers in blues that kind of mimics and represents that one. Okay, I feel like I have enough plaid at this point, so I did skip that one. And then we've got another pumpkin print, which I went ahead and put one pumpkin print in here so that I could have that bit of theme. Now I replaced this black and white star print with this multicolored bold star print from Jen Hadfield. We had seen this in a previous kit, I think this year, maybe last year, I can't quite remember, but that's a fun one to work with. And then I went on to this leaf print, which I had in more of a wood grain look, so I did that. And then that gray paper brings us back to the look of the printable that had the same gray print on it that turned out to be kind of purple. But I did find a gray that I think would work. And then we have a final black and white plaid, so I went and added that. And then the fun part was, I didn't notice until I turned it over while I was filming that it has a pumpkin print on the back. So that's perfect in case I want to use either side. All right, moving on to the embellishments. Here again, I have those printables that I mentioned earlier. I did pull some frames out of my Pink Fresh Studio supplies since the sticker set from Tracy Reed had some of these frame images to it. Pardon my phone. Next up, I pulled out my bin of what I called nature embellishments, which has trees and woods and leaves and things like that. No animals in this one because I have a separate animal bin. These leaves I made in a previous counterfeit kit that has some gold, some shiny foiling to them. So that'll be a fun addition if I decide to use those. I kept my extra embellishments within the kit pretty simple. I did pull some fibers that had some fun texture to it. No orange pom-pom balls, but this is kind of a papery ribbon trim with a plaid print to it. So a little bit of fun texture with that. And I did keep these embellishments pretty simple, and you'll see why in a minute. I did pull a couple of alphabet sets in those bluey tones and then a basic black. I did forget when I was filming this part to pull my doilies out, which I had mentioned before. So here is a look at those. And I will also allow myself free reign to use anything from my seasonal embellishment files from Halloween to fall inspired. And I didn't want to pull those all out to add specifically to this kit, but they are there if I want them. All right, that wraps up this kit build for this time around. I hope you will go check out the other team members over at the Counterfeit Kit Challenge blog hop and leave them some love on their kits as well. Until next time, I hope you have an artful day.